The great meeting hall of Nexus Prime buzzed with the sounds of 100 different alien languages. Admiral Kira stood at the center of the room, her blue skin shimmering under the bright lights. Around her sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Each one represented a different species, a different world, a different way of thinking. "Attention, everyone," Kira said, her voice carrying easily through the massive room. The talking stopped. All eyes turned to her. "We have something new to discuss today." Warden Tavo shifted in his crystal chair. His body looked like it was made of living diamond. Light danced through his transparent skin as he moved. "Another border dispute?" he asked in a bored voice. "Or maybe pirates again?" Kira shook her head. "Neither. Our scouts found something strange at the edge of council space." She pressed a button on her control pad. The air above the table shimmered. A hologram appeared, showing tiny dots of light against the black of space. Chancellor Vex leaned forward. His metal body whirred softly as his mechanical parts moved. Red lights blinked where his eyes should be. "Ships," he said. His voice sounded like grinding gears. "How many?" 52 vessels, Kira replied. "All unknown design. They appeared 3 days ago near the outer rim." The room erupted in laughter. Ambassador Zeph covered her mouth with one of her 4 hands, but her amusement was clear. Her large, dark eyes sparkled with mirth. 50 ships, she said between giggles. "That is supposed to be a threat?" "Wait until you see them," Kira said. She pressed another button. The hologram zoomed in, showing the ships in detail. The laughter grew louder. The ships looked nothing like the sleek vessels that filled the galaxy's spaceways. They were boxy and rough. Metal plates covered their hulls like scales on a fish. Strange towers stuck out at odd angles. Pipes and cables ran along their sides like veins. "What are those things?" Warden Tavo asked. His crystal body rang like a bell as he laughed. "They look like someone built them in a scrapyard." "Our analysis shows they use fusion reactors for power," Kira continued. "Chemical rockets for main propulsion. Kinetic barriers instead of energy shields." The room fell silent for a moment. Then the laughter started again, even louder than before. "Fusion reactors?" Chancellor Vex's mechanical voice crackled with static that sounded like laughter. "My people stopped using those 10,000 years ago. They are so primitive." Ambassador Zeph nodded, her psychic tendrils glowing softly around her head. "I can barely sense any advanced technology at all. These beings must be very young. Very simple." Kira brought up more images. The ships moved slowly through space, leaving trails of bright exhaust behind them. They stayed in tight groups like fish swimming together for safety. "Look at how they fly," Warden Tavo said. "So clumsy, so inefficient. A single one of our patrol ships could destroy their entire fleet." "The largest ship is only 800 meters long," Kira said. "Most are much smaller. By our standards, they are barely more than shuttles." Chancellor Vex ran calculations in his metal brain. Numbers flowed across the display screens built into his chest. "Threat level, minimal," he announced. "These vessels pose no danger to Council space." "Where do you think they came from?" asked Representative Nix. The slug-like being left a trail of slime as he moved closer to the hologram. His many eyes studied the strange ships. "Probably refugees. From some disaster," Ambassador Zeph said. Her psychic abilities let her sense emotions across vast distances, but these ships were too far away. A plague, maybe. Or their star went supernova. "Poor creatures," said Counselor Rex. Her plant-like body swayed as she spoke. Flowers bloomed and died in her hair as her emotions changed. "They must have traveled so far in those terrible ships." "Admiral," Kira nodded. "The question is, what should we do with them?" "Standard refugee protocol," Chancellor Vex said immediately. "Send a patrol squadron to escort them to processing facilities. Register them. Find them a suitable world to settle." "Agreed," Warden Tavo said. "But keep them away from the core worlds. We do not want primitives causing trouble." "One patrol squadron should be enough," Representative Nick said. 3 ships at most. These refugees will not cause problems. Ambassador. Seth sent out psychic feelers trying to sense any danger from the strange fleet. She found nothing threatening. The ships moved with purpose but no aggression. They seem peaceful enough, she said. Probably grateful for our help. It is decided then, Admiral Kira said. She made notes on her command pad. Patrol Squadron 7 will intercept the unknown vessels. Standard refugee escort procedures. Who commands Squadron 7? Asked Counselor Rex. Patrol Leader Quinn, Kira replied. 3 ships, the Starfall, the Moonbeam, and the Solar Wind, all equipped with the latest technology. More than enough to handle 50 primitive vessels. The meeting moved on to other business. The strange fleet was forgotten as quickly as it had been discovered. Trade disputes, territorial claims, and diplomatic marriages filled the rest of the day. But as the council members left the Great Hall, many of them were still chuckling about the tiny armada at the edge of space. 50 primitive ships with fusion reactors and chemical rockets. It was like finding someone still using stone tools in an age of laser cutters. Can you imagine? Warden Tavo said to Chancellor Vex as they walked toward their ships. Kinetic barriers. What is next? Ballistic weapons? My databases show that some species used such things millions of years ago, Chancellor Vex replied. Before they learned better ways. These beings must be very new to space travel, Ambassador Zeph added. Their technology is so basic, so crude. At least they will be easy to help, Counselor Rex said kindly. Simple problems need simple solutions. High above them, in the command center of Nexus Prime, Admiral Kira watched the unknown fleet on her screens. Something bothered her about those ships, but she could not say what. They looked primitive, yes, but they moved with such precision, such discipline. She shook her head. She was being foolish. 50 ships against the might of the Galactic Council. It was like a mouse challenging a lion. Patrol Leader Quinn received his orders within the hour. Take 3 ships to the edge of Council space. Make contact with the unknown vessels. Escort them to refugee processing facilities. Simple work for a routine patrol. How long until we reach them? Quinn asked his navigator. 2 days at maximum cruise speed, came the reply. Should we bring additional ships? Just in case? Quinn laughed. For 50 primitive vessels? The Starfall alone could handle them all. No, 3 ships is already more than we need. As Patrol Squadron 7 prepared to leave Nexus Prime, the laughter from the council meeting echoed through the corridors. 50 ships with fusion reactors, chemical propulsion, kinetic barriers. It was the funniest thing anyone had heard in years. The tiny armada waited at the edge of space, silent and still. Their crude metal hulls showed no signs of the advanced technology that filled the galaxy. No energy weapons gleamed on their surfaces. No exotic particles powered their engines. They looked exactly like what they appeared to be, primitive ships from a primitive world. But appearances, as the galaxy would soon learn, could be very deceiving. The laughter would not last much longer. Captain Day stood on the bridge of the Soul's Fury and watched the stars. His ship was the largest in the human fleet, but even he knew it looked small compared to what they might face out here. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. His crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. Status report, Day said to his first officer. Commander Yoon looked up from her console. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, checking systems throughout the ship. All systems green, Captain. Fusion reactors at optimal power. Weapons charged and ready. The fleet maintains formation. Day nodded. The human fleet spread out around them in perfect order. 52 ships, each one built for war but hoping for peace. They had traveled so far to reach this moment. First contact with galactic civilization. Any word from Admiral Bow? Day asked. The Admiral's ship is holding position at the fleet's center, Yoon replied. All ships report ready for whatever comes next. On the screen at the front of the bridge, the edge of Council space glowed with distant stars. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations had built an empire that spanned thousands of worlds. Earth scientists had been watching them for over 100 years, learning their languages, studying their technology. Preparing for this day, Lieutenant Wu called out from his station. "Captain, I'm picking up movement on long-range sensors. 3 ships approaching from Galactic Core direction." "Size and configuration?" Day asked. "Large, sir. Each one is bigger than our biggest ship. They're moving fast but decelerating as they get closer." Captain Day felt his heart beat a little faster. This was it. First contact. "Send word to Admiral Bo. Tell him the welcoming committee has arrived." On the carrier Busan Rising, Commander Yoon's sister, also named Yoon, checked her fighter squadrons. One last time. Her pilots sat in their cockpits, engines warmed up and weapons loaded. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. "Alpha Squadron ready," reported Flight Leader Nam over the comm system. "Beta Squadron standing by," added Lieutenant Wu's younger brother from his fighter. Commander Yoon nodded with satisfaction. Human fighters were small and tough, built like flying tanks. They might not look as pretty as alien ships, but they could take damage and keep fighting. That was the human way. In the engine room of the Soul's Fury, Engineering Chief Yu monitored the ship's power systems. The fusion reactors hummed with contained starfire. Every system had backup systems. Every backup had a backup of its own. If something broke, they could fix it. If they couldn't fix it, they could work around it. That was another human trait. They built things to last, to work even when damaged, to keep fighting when others would give up. "All stations report ready, Chief," said her assistant. "Good," Chief Yu replied. "But stay alert. We don't know what we're about to face." Admiral Bo sat in his command chair aboard the battlecruiser Incheon's Pride. Around him, his staff worked quietly at their stations. They had planned for this moment for decades. Every possible scenario had been considered. Every strategy had been tested. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "we're receiving a signal from the approaching ships. Put it through." The main screen flickered. An alien face appeared. The creature had blue skin and large dark eyes. When it spoke, the translation computers turned its words into perfect Korean. "Unknown vessels, this is Patrol Leader Quinn of the Galactic Council. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately." Admiral Bo stood up slowly. He smoothed his uniform and walked to the center of the bridge. "This is Admiral Bo of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet, representing the planet Earth and all humanity. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic contact with galactic civilization." Patrol Leader Quinn's expression changed. He looked confused. "Terran? Earth? These names are not in our databases. You appear to be refugees fleeing some disaster. Submit to escort for proper processing at our facilities." "We are not refugees," Admiral Bo said calmly. "We are explorers and diplomats representing our world's government. We request formal first contact protocols as outlined in the Galactic Accords." There was silence on the alien ship. "Patrol Leader." Quinn looked to someone off-screen, then back at the human admiral. "Your vessels are primitive. Your technology is outdated. You cannot be a spacefaring civilization. Submit to escort or we will use force." Admiral Bo felt a cold anger rise in his chest, but his voice remained calm. "Patrol Leader Quinn, we decline your kind offer of escort. We are here as equals, not as refugees or prisoners." "Equals?" Quinn laughed. "Look at your ships. Fusion reactors, chemical propulsion, kinetic barriers. You are using technology my people abandoned thousands of years ago." On the Soul's Fury, Captain Day watched the conversation with growing tension. His crew stood ready at their stations. In the weapons bay, Gunnery Sergeant Back checked the main guns one more time. The tungsten rods waited in their launching tubes, each one capable of punching through a mountain. "Captain," Lieutenant Wu said quietly, "I'm reading the alien ship's power signatures. Their shields are strong, but they're designed to stop energy weapons. Lasers, plasma, particle beams." "And our weapons?" Captain Day asked. "Kinetic projectiles, sir. Solid matter, moving at high speed. Their shields might not even slow them down." Captain Day nodded. Human weapons were simple. A chunk of dense metal, accelerated to tremendous speed. aimed at the target. No fancy energy effects, no exotic particles, just good old physics doing what physics did best. The conversation between Admiral Bow and Patrol Leader Quinn continued. The alien was becoming more and more insistent that the humans submit to processing. His tone grew threatening. "You're primitive. Vessels are no match for Council technology," Quinn said. "Submit now or face the consequences." Admiral Bow looked around his bridge. His officers waited for orders. These men and women had volunteered to travel to the stars knowing they might never see Earth again. They deserved better than to be treated like cattle. "Patrol Leader Quinn," Bow said, "we have traveled very far to meet you in peace. We hope that peace can be maintained. But we are not weak, and we are not primitive. We suggest you reconsider your approach." "Are you threatening me?" Quinn asked, his alien features twisting with anger. "I am informing you," Bow replied. "We came here to make friends, but we are prepared for other possibilities." On the alien ship Starfall, Patrol Leader, Quinn felt his confidence waver for a moment. There was something in the human admiral's voice, something that suggested these primitives might be more dangerous than they looked. But then he looked at his sensor readings again. 52 small ships with outdated technology. His 3 vessels were each larger and more advanced than anything in the human fleet. What could these creatures possibly do? "You have 1 minute to comply," Quinn said. "Lower your barriers and prepare to be boarded. This is your final warning." Admiral Bow looked at Captain Day's image on his communication screen. The captain nodded slightly. He understood. "Very well, Patrol Leader Quinn," Bow said. "If you insist on a demonstration of human capabilities, we will provide one. But remember, you asked for this." The communication channel closed. On 52 human ships, crews moved to battle stations with practiced efficiency. They had hoped for peace. They had prepared for war. Now they would show the galaxy what humanity could do when pushed too far. The aliens were about to learn that sometimes primitive technology worked better than advanced systems. Sometimes simple solutions were the best solutions. And sometimes the biggest mistake you could make was underestimating someone just because they looked weak. The tiny Armada prepared to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Admiral Bow made the decision that would change galactic history forever. He pressed the communication button that connected him to every ship in the human fleet. "All vessels, this is Admiral Bow. We came here in peace, but these aliens refuse to treat us with respect. It's time to show them what humanity is capable of. Execute demonstration protocol." Throughout the fleet, captains acknowledged the order. On the Soul's Fury, Captain Day turned to his weapons officer. "Gunnery Sergeant Back, prepare main cannon, single tungsten rod. Target the lead alien vessel's shield array." Sergeant Back's hands moved over his controls with practiced skill. He had trained for this moment for 20 years. The main cannon hummed with power as it aligned itself with the target. "Target locked, Captain. Projectile loaded and ready. Fire." The tungsten rod shot out of the cannon at a significant fraction of light speed. It was just a metal bar, no bigger around than a person's arm and about as long as a telephone pole. But it carried the kinetic energy of a nuclear bomb. On the alien ship Starfall, Patrol Leader Quinn watched his sensors with growing alarm. Something small and fast was heading directly toward his ship. "What is that?" he demanded. "Unknown projectile," his science officer replied. "It appears to be solid matter, moving at extreme velocity." "Solid matter? Are they throwing rocks at us?" Quinn laughed, but the sound was nervous. "Raise shields to maximum. Show these primitives what real technology can do." The energy barriers around the Starfall glowed brighter. They could stop laser blasts, plasma bolts, and particle beams. They had protected Quinn's ship through a dozen battles against pirates and rebels. The tungsten rod hit the shields. For a split second, nothing seemed to happen. The energy barriers sparked and flared as they tried to dissipate the projectile's energy. But they were designed to handle energy weapons, not solid matter moving at such incredible speed. The shields collapsed like a soap bubble. The tungsten rod punched through the Starfall's armor as if it were paper. It went completely through the ship and out the other side, leaving a perfectly round hole behind. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the alien vessel. "Report!" Quinn shouted over the noise. "Shields down! Hull breach on decks 7 through 12. Emergency force fields are holding but barely," his damage control officer replied. "How is that possible? It was just a piece of metal." Emergency coordinator Flux worked frantically at his station. His multiple arms moved over different control panels at once. "Sir, our shields are designed to absorb and redirect energy. But kinetic weapons, solid projectiles, we haven't faced anything like this in millennia." Quinn stared at the hole in his ship. The edges glowed red-hot where the tungsten rod had passed through. His supposedly invincible vessel had been crippled by what amounted to a very fast rock. "Impossible," he whispered. On the Soul's Fury, Captain Day opened communications with the alien ship. "Patrol Leader Quinn, this is Captain Day. That was a warning shot. Our next projectile will target your reactor core. Do I have your attention now?" Before Quinn could answer, more activity erupted around the human fleet. Commander Yoon launched her fighter squadrons from the carrier Busan Rising. Dozens of small craft poured out of the launching bays like angry wasps. Lieutenant Wu led Alpha Squadron in their approach toward the alien ships. His fighter was half the size of the smallest alien vessel, but it was built like a tank. Thick armor plating covered every surface. Multiple backup systems ensured it could keep flying even after taking heavy damage. "Alpha leader to all fighters," Wu said over the comm. "Standard intimidation pattern, let them see what we can do." The human fighters moved in perfect formation around the alien ships. They were fast and agile despite their heavy construction. Their pilots had trained in Earth's asteroid fields, dodging rocks and debris at high speed. This was easy compared to that. On the alien ship Moonbeam, the captain watched the human fighters with growing concern. "They're so small," he said to his crew. "But look how they move. Such precision, such coordination." His tactical officer studied the fighter craft on his sensors. "Sir, these vessels are heavily armored, much more so than our own fighters. And their weapons, they appear to be kinetic as well. Projectile cannons. Projectile cannons on fighter craft? That's insane. The recoil alone would tear a normal fighter apart." "Yes, sir. But these aren't normal fighters. Look at their construction. Every component is built to handle massive stress. They're not elegant, but they're incredibly tough." Back on the Incheon's Pride, Admiral Bo coordinated the demonstration with calm efficiency. Tactical Officer Jun reported from his station. "All ships in position, Admiral. The aliens are seeing exactly what we want them to see." "And what's that, Officer Jun?" "That we're not the primitives they think we are, sir." Admiral Bo nodded. For over a century, humanity had watched the galaxy from the shadows. They had learned alien languages, studied their technology, and planned for this moment. The aliens thought humans were primitive because their technology looked simple, but sometimes simple was better. Human weapons didn't need exotic energy sources or complex focusing systems. They used the most basic force in the universe: kinetic energy. A heavy object moving fast would destroy anything it hit, no matter how way advanced the target's defenses were. Human ships didn't need graceful curves or artistic designs. They needed thick armor and redundant systems. They needed to keep working when everything went wrong. They needed to bring their crews home alive. Human fighters didn't need to look pretty. They needed to survive in the chaos of battle while delivering their weapons with deadly accuracy. Engineering Chief Yu monitored the demonstration from her station on the Soul's Fury. The ship's sensors were recording everything about the alien vessels: their shield frequencies, their armor thickness, their weapon placements. Information that had been gathered over decades of careful observation was now being confirmed in real time. "Captain," she reported to Captain Day, "I'm reading massive power fluctuations in the lead alien ship. Their reactor is unstable. That single kinetic round did more damage than they're admitting." Captain Day smiled grimly. "That's because they built their ships to look impressive, not to take hits, form over function. The alien patrol ships tried to respond to the human demonstration, but they were confused and disorganized. Their weapons were designed to fight other energy-based ships. Their tactics assumed their opponents would use similar technology. Patrol leader Quinn attempted to target the human fighters with his ship's main weapons, but the small craft were too fast and agile. They darted between his weapons' fire like minnows avoiding a net. "They're impossible to hit," his gunner reported. "Then target the larger ships. Sir, if we fire on them, they might fire back. And after what that kinetic weapon did to our shields..." Quinn felt sweat dripping down his alien face. His 3 ships were larger and more advanced than anything in the human fleet, but size and advancement meant nothing if the enemy could punch straight through your defenses. Captain Day opened communications again. "Patrol leader Quinn, we have no desire to destroy your ships or harm your crews, but we will defend ourselves, if necessary. I suggest we discuss this situation calmly." Quinn looked around his damaged bridge. Emergency repair crews worked to fix the systems damaged by the kinetic strike. The hole in his ship was a constant reminder of human capabilities. What do you want?" he asked. "The same thing we wanted when this conversation started," Captain Day replied. "Formal diplomatic contact with the Galactic Council. We are representatives of humanity, and we demand to be treated as equals. But your technology works perfectly." "Well, for our needs," Admiral Bow interrupted, joining the conversation. "We don't build our ships to impress anyone, Patrol Leader. We build them to accomplish their mission. Today that mission is peaceful contact. Tomorrow, well, that depends on how this conversation goes." Quinn realized he was in an impossible situation. His patrol squadron was outgunned by ships that looked primitive. His shields were useless against weapons that should have been obsolete. His crews were demoralized by the ease with which the humans had demonstrated their superiority. I need to contact my superiors," he said finally. "By all means," Admiral Bow replied. "But remember, we came here in peace. We still prefer peace, but we are prepared for other options." As Patrol Leader Quinn sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council, the human fleet maintained their positions around his damaged ships. 52 vessels that had been dismissed as a tiny armada now looked very different indeed. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been watching and preparing for much longer than anyone suspected. The demonstration was over, but the real surprise was yet to come. The emergency message from Patrol Leader Quinn reached Nexus Prime in less than an hour. Admiral Kira read the report 3 times before she believed it. The primitive refugees had destroyed one of their patrol ships with a single shot. "This cannot be accurate," she said to her staff. "A kinetic projectile against modern shields?" Her science advisor, a thin creature with 6 arms, checked the sensor data that Quinn had transmitted. "The readings are clear, Admiral. The projectile moved at 0.27 light speed. It carried the kinetic energy of a small nuclear weapon. But that's impossible. No civilization uses kinetic weapons anymore. They're too primitive, too inefficient." "Apparently not, Admiral." Kira activated the emergency communication system that connected her to every major power in the galaxy. Within minutes, the same aliens who had laughed at the human fleet were gathered around holographic displays, their expressions very different from before. "Explain this to me again," Warden Tavo said. His crystal body no longer sparkled with amusement. 50 primitive ships defeated 3 of our patrol vessels? One of our ships was crippled," Admiral Kira corrected. "The other 2 are intact but intimidated." Chancellor Vex processed the information with mechanical precision. "My calculations show that kinetic weapons at such velocities would indeed penetrate our standard shield matrices. This is unexpected." Intelligence analyst Wren worked at her station aboard the Terran fleet, intercepting and decoding the alien communications. For over a century, humanity had been listening to galactic civilization. They knew every language, every code, every secret frequency. "Admiral," she reported to Admiral Bow, "the aliens are talking to each other. They're scared. They're calling for reinforcements." "How many reinforcements?" Bow asked. "From what I can decode, maybe 300 ships. They're mobilizing a full pacification fleet." Admiral Bow nodded calmly. He had expected this. "Any word from Earth?" "Admiral Lee's fleet should arrive within 6 hours, sir. Bo smiled. The aliens thought they had seen humanity's entire force. They were wrong. On Nexus Prime, the debate continued. Ambassador Zeph tried to use her psychic abilities to understand the human intentions, but the distance was too great. I cannot read their minds from here, she admitted. But their actions suggest they are not refugees. Then what are they? Asked Representative Nix. Warriors, said Counselor Rex quietly. Her plant-like body had turned dark colors, reflecting her mood. They move like warriors, they think like warriors. Impossible, Warden Tavo insisted. Their technology is thousands of years behind ours. Their technology works, Chancellor Vex pointed out. Our shields did not. Admiral Kira studied the tactical reports from the encounter. Their fighters are heavily armored. Their weapons are simple but effective. Their ship formations show military discipline. You think they are a military expedition? Ambassador Zeph asked. I think we underestimated them badly. Meanwhile, aboard the Soul's Fury, Captain Day received updates from his crew. Engineering Chief Yu had been analyzing the alien ship's weaknesses while they waited. Captain, I've identified 17 critical vulnerabilities in their ship designs, she reported. Their power distribution systems are centralized. Take out the main conduits and the entire ship goes dark. What about their weapons? Energy-based, lasers, plasma cannons, particle beams. Very impressive against other energy-based defenses. Useless against solid armor. Captain Day nodded. They built their ships to fight other aliens. We built ours to fight anyone. Dr. Sun, the fleet's chief scientist, had been studying the alien communication patterns. Captain, I think I understand their society now. They've been peaceful for so long that they've forgotten how to fight real wars. Explain. Their conflicts are all about technology and energy. Whoever has the most advanced shields and the most powerful energy weapons wins. It's like a chess game with very specific rules. And we don't play by those rules. Exactly. We're playing a different game entirely. On the alien ship Starfall, Patrol Leader Quinn struggled to understand what had happened to his squadron. His ship's hull had been repaired, but the psychological damage was harder to fix. Sir, his tactical officer reported, I've analyzed the human weapons. They're using pure kinetic energy. No exotic particles, no energy focusing, no advanced targeting systems, just physics. How is that possible? It's not that it's impossible, sir. It's that we never thought anyone would still use such methods. It's like being attacked with swords when you're wearing armor designed to stop laser beams. Emergency Coordinator Flux had spent hours studying the human fighters. Sir, their small craft are built completely differently from ours. We design for speed and elegance. They design for survivability. Meaning they expect to get shot at. A lot. Their fighters can probably survive direct hits that would destroy our best interceptors. Quinn felt a chill run through his alien body. Are you saying they're better warriors than we are? I'm saying they've been preparing for war while we've been playing at it. The truth was even more complex than the aliens realized. Humanity had spent over a century preparing for this moment. Earth's governments had worked together to build a fleet that could survive in a galaxy full of unknown threats. Human ships were designed by military engineers who assumed everything would go wrong at the worst possible moment. Every system had backups. Every backup had alternatives. Every component was built to keep working even when damaged. Human weapons were based on the simple principle that if you hit something hard enough, it would break. No fancy energy manipulations, no exotic physics, just good old kinetic energy, doing what it did best. Human tactics assumed the enemy would be stronger, faster, and more advanced. So they prepared for asymmetric warfare. They would use their enemy's assumptions against them. Colonel Hua of the Terran Marines briefed Admiral Bo on the human military doctrine that had guided their ship design. Sir, we don't build weapons to impress anyone. We build them to win. And what makes you think we can win against a galactic civilization? Because they've forgotten how to lose, Admiral. They've been on top for so long that they can't imagine being defeated. That makes them predictable. As the alien reinforcements gathered, the human fleet waited patiently at the edge of Council space. They had revealed some of their capabilities, but not all. The aliens still thought they were facing 50 primitive ships. They had no idea what was really coming. Intelligence analyst Wren continued monitoring alien communications. "Admiral, the aliens are discussing their response. They're bringing heavy cruisers and battle platforms. They think overwhelming force will solve their problem." "Let them come," Admiral Bow replied. "We have a few more surprises for them." Dr. Sun looked up from her xenobiology studies. "Admiral, I think I understand why they're reacting this way. Their entire civilization is based on technological superiority. They can't accept that older technology might work better in some situations." "Pride comes before the fall," Bow said quietly. "In their case, it might be literally true." The galaxy held its breath as two very different approaches to warfare prepared to meet again. On one side, elegant ships with advanced technology and centuries of assumed superiority. On the other, crude-looking vessels with simple weapons and minds focused on one goal: victory. The aliens still thought they were dealing with a tiny armada of refugees. Soon they would learn the difference between looking primitive and being weak. The real battle was about to begin. The alien reinforcement fleet arrived like a moving wall of metal and energy. 300 ships of every size and design filled the space around the human fleet. At their head was the massive dreadnought Convergence, a ship so large it could serve as a mobile city. Fleet Admiral Gex commanded the alien armada from his flagship's bridge. He was confident this show of force would end the human threat quickly. "Open communications with the primitive vessels," he ordered. On the human ships, crews watched the alien fleet with calm professionalism. They had expected this. They had prepared for this. Admiral Bow received the alien communication on the bridge of the Incheon's Pride. The alien commander appeared on his screen, radiating confidence and authority. "I am Fleet Admiral Gex," the alien said. "You are surrounded and outnumbered 6-1. Surrender immediately, and you will be treated fairly." Admiral Bow looked at the alien with steady eyes. "Admiral Gex, I am Admiral Bow of humanity. We came here seeking peaceful contact. You have chosen to respond with force. Your actions against Patrol Leader Quinn were acts of war," Gex replied. "Submit to judgment, or face the consequences." "Before you make threats," Bow said calmly, "perhaps you should know that you are not facing our entire fleet." Gex laughed. "More primitive ships? How many more could there possibly be?" At that moment, space behind the human fleet began to shimmer. Hyperspace portals opened like flowers blooming in the darkness. Ship after ship emerged from faster-than-light travel. Admiral Lee's battle group had arrived. 500 human vessels appeared in perfect formation. Massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed even the alien flagship. Carriers loaded with thousands of fighters, cruisers bristling with kinetic weapons. The real human armada had come to the party. Fleet Admiral Gex stared at his sensors in disbelief. Impossible. Where did they come from? His tactical officer worked frantically at his station. "Sir, I count 512 vessels. Some of them are enormous. The largest ship reads as over 2 kilometers long." Captain Jin commanded the super dreadnought Gyeonggi Thunder, the flagship of Admiral Lee's fleet. His ship was twice the size of the alien flagship and carried enough firepower to level continents. "Admiral Lee," Jin reported. "All ships report, ready for combat." Admiral Lee nodded from his command chair. He was older than Admiral Bow, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. "Open a channel to Admiral Bow." "Bow, good to see you," Lee said when the communication connected. "I see you've made some new friends." "They were just explaining how outnumbered we are," Bow replied with a slight smile. "Were they now? How interesting." Commander Seo coordinated the massive fighter deployment from her carrier Daegu's Vengeance. Wave after wave of human fighters poured from the launch bays. They formed up in attack formations around the alien fleet. Fleet Admiral Gex watched the IO human reinforcements with growing alarm. His 300 ships no longer seemed like overwhelming force. The human fleet now outnumbered his own. "Sir," his communications officer said nervously, The humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through. Admiral Lee's voice filled every ship in both fleets. Attention, Galactic Council forces. This is Admiral Lee of the Terran Defense Fleet. You have threatened peaceful human explorers. You have refused diplomatic contact. You have chosen to respond to friendship with force. Lee paused, letting his words sink in. We are prepared to defend ourselves. Your move, Admiral Gex. On the alien flagship, panic spread through the crew. They had prepared to fight 50 primitive ships. Instead, they faced over 500 vessels, many of them larger and more heavily armed than anything in the Council fleet. Fleet Admiral Gex tried to maintain his authority. You cannot threaten the Galactic Council. We have thousands of ships throughout the galaxy. And we have been watching you for over 100 years, Admiral Lee replied. We know where every one of those ships is located. We know their capabilities, their weaknesses, their patrol routes. Intelligence analyst Wren had been right. Humanity had been preparing for this confrontation for over a century. Earth's deep space observation stations had mapped every alien ship, every alien base, every alien fleet movement. The element of surprise belonged entirely to humanity. Ambassador Zeph, aboard one of the Council ships, tried desperately to use her psychic abilities to understand human intentions. When she finally made contact with a human mind, she recoiled in shock. Security Chief Lee aboard the Soul's Fury felt the alien's mental touch and simply smiled. Human thoughts were chaos to psychic species. Beautiful, creative, unpredictable chaos that no alien mind could comprehend or control. Would you like some coffee? Lee asked the confused ambassador through the psychic link. It's quite good. The casual response to her mental intrusion terrified Ambassador Zeph more than any threat could have. These beings were not just militarily superior. They were mentally incomprehensible. Fleet Admiral Gex realized his position was hopeless. His ships were designed to fight other energy-based vessels. Human kinetic weapons would tear through his fleet like paper. His shields were useless, his tactics were obsolete. What do you want? He asked finally. Admiral Bow answered. The same thing we have wanted from the beginning. Diplomatic recognition, formal first contact protocols, treatment as equals. But your technology works perfectly for our purposes, Admiral Lee interrupted. We don't need energy shields when we have thick armor. We don't need exotic weapons when kinetic projectiles do the job. We don't need elegant ship designs when functional ones work better. Captain Day opened a communication channel to all ships. This is Captain Day to all human vessels. Stand down to alert status, but remain ready. Throughout the human fleet, weapons stayed charged and crews remained at battle stations. They were offering peace, but they were prepared for war. Gunnery Sergeant Bach aboard the Soul's Fury commented to his crew, "Turns out armor plating beats energy barriers every time. Who would have thought?" His gunners laughed. They had trained for years to fight opponents with superior technology. The secret was not to fight the aliens' kind of war, force them to fight humanity's kind of war instead. Dr. Sun opened the first official diplomatic channel between humanity and the Galactic Council. Her message was broadcast on all frequencies to every ship in both fleets. Citizens of the galaxy, she said, we are humanity. We come from a world called Earth. We have watched you from afar for many decades, learning your languages and studying your ways. We come in peace, but we are not helpless. She paused, looking directly at Fleet Admiral Gex. We offer friendship to those who would be our friends. We offer trade to those who would trade fairly. We offer protection to those who need it. But we will not be dismissed as primitives, and we will not be treated as refugees. We are humanity. We are here, and we are ready to take our place among the stars as equals. The message echoed through galactic communication networks at faster than light speed. On thousands of worlds, alien civilizations received their first real introduction to the human species. Fleet Admiral Gex looked at his tactical displays one more time. His 300 ships were surrounded by over 500 human vessels. His weapons were designed for the wrong kind of war. His shields were useless against kinetic weapons. He had two choices: fight a battle he could not win, or negotiate with beings he had underestimated. Admiral Bow, he said finally. Perhaps we should discuss diplomatic arrangements. Admiral Bow nodded gravely. I believe that would be wise, Admiral Jex. As the two fleets faced each other in the darkness of space, the galaxy began to understand that everything had changed. The tiny Armada had been revealed as just the first wave of a new power that would reshape galactic civilization. Humanity had announced its presence with overwhelming force backed by careful preparation. They had turned the aliens' assumptions against them. They had won without firing a shot in anger. The age of human expansion into the galaxy had begun, and it had begun exactly as humanity had planned, with respect earned through strength, and peace maintained through the promise of war. The laughter had stopped. The galaxy was listening now.